Welcome to ITRA Trail Talks. I'm your host, Jeff Campbell, and in this podcast, we talk about trail runners, coaches, and sports specialists, and everything about trail running. And today's episode, we have a very special guest. She's a race director, quite a capable trail runner herself, and the president of the International Trail Running Association. Welcome to Trail Talks, Janet Ing. Yes, so thanks for joining. I think we want to cover a lot of things today, but just starting out with yourself. So you were elected to be the president of ITRA in September 2021, but you have a much longer history in the sport of trail running and with ITRA. Could you tell us how you got into the sport of trail running?
Yeah, sure. Well, before I do that, I just want to thank you, Jeff, for doing all these podcasts for ITRA. It's great. I mean, I've been listening to the last two episodes, and well, thank you so much for hosting and bringing all these topics that everybody's interested in to our wider trail running community. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, but this episode's about you, not about me. So no, I want to hear more about you and your running career. So tell us how you got started in it.
Yeah. Well, as a runner, well, I've always run. Like, when I was young, I was born and brought up in Hong Kong, and I used to run the 400s, 800s, the tracks and cross country, but short distances. And I stopped running when I went to university. That was in the UK, and then coming back to Hong Kong as a trainee solicitor with quite a stressful life. And I think, like a lot of people here, found trail running, I mean, as a very good antidote to the stressful city life here. And it started from there. I started off more with road running, but I mean, just being out in the trails is so nice. Many of my friends do trail running, so I just got roped in then, and since then I have been doing both trail running and road running, and but I think the lot of the memorable events happened when as a trail runner.
Tell me about some of your sort of biggest races. You have a number of top 10 finishes, a few wins under your belts. Do you have any really memorable races in your trail running career?
Yeah, well, I have to rewind for about 10 years now, really. Um, yeah, and I started trail running probably about 25 years ago. Yeah, and the my better results, I think, the show walker, I think we still hold the female record, really because of my great teammates and um, memorable events. Marathon des Sables, I love that event. I don't do many stage races, but that was very special for me, and never been to Africa before, and just seeing that night sky in the desert was absolutely amazing. And a few races in Australia I love. I love the Great Ocean Walk, which is a very small event, but a very community feel, and like it's a small group of runners. You get to know each other like after the event, and I love the cause as well. Yeah, so
Mm.
I've done quite a few events, both Hong Kong and overseas, and yeah, those are a few memorable ones.
Yeah, you're top 10 at Marathon des Sables, and that's a big event. So quite an accomplishment. That's actually a race that I've always dreamed of running, but I also hate running on sand. Like even in the portions on the Mackelhose in Hong Kong that go across the beach, I find it to be quite challenging. So I need to square that somehow. I think it'd be a bit of a fair bit of running in the sand on that one, right?
I know what you mean, but like after the first couple of days, I think your body adapts and you get used to it. Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, with a big pack as well, and yeah, like yeah, but you get used to it, and yeah, it's not so bad actually.
Um, so, being an accomplished runner, and then you mentioned that you were a solicitor before. What pulled you into the more organizational side of trail running? Because yeah, in addition to ITRA, you're quite an accomplished race director. Tell me a little bit more how you got into the organizational side.
Yeah, so I started off trail running and was doing events uh, that became longer and longer. I think a lot of trail runners have that tendency as well. Like you started off short, but then like you just try and go longer and longer. And in the time when I was before when I was doing the longer distance, I kind of felt that we have to do individual foot races overseas because like then in Hong Kong, the longest one was an event which has to be done as a team of four. So my husband and I, he's also a trail runner, as you know.
Mm.
We went overseas and did quite a few races, and then it was after an event in Australia. I remember that was 2010. It was such a great event, and we just came back and well, actually, we booked ourselves to go around in Australia for a week after the race to wind down and but we just thought that like it will be so nice if Hong Kong can have an individual race, so people don't have to always just fly overseas to do like long distance events. And we were talking about this, and then we thought, why not? Let's give it a go in organizing it. And I think partly is I remember when I was well, mentioning this topic to some of my trail running friends, they were like, no, forget it. Like, there's going to be so much red tape. There's like, no, not possible for you. And I always like a challenge. So I think it kind of started from there. We just thought that we have such beautiful countryside here, and we wanted a individual long distance race, and this is a challenge. My friends think that like there's no chance that we can pull this off, so just took it on and it started from there. And the event, Hong Kong 100, we kicked it off in 2011. And yeah, that was I still remember then we had to go and print these flyers and ask people around to join. And each night when we come back from work, we look at our mailbox and see if there are any applications coming in. Those were the days before electronic applications. Yeah, and it was things have moved on quite a lot from then.
And I mean, that's pretty early days in terms of trail running, at least in Hong Kong. Did you have any vision of where it was going, or it was just a passion project that you took on the side?
Absolutely, just passion project. We the first year we basically got our friends to come and participate. I still remember we had 175 runners, and because we have to enter all the details manually onto our computer. I mean, just remember every single person's name and like where they're from, their home address. And it was a passion project. The checkpoints were manned by family members, best friends, and also a lot of scout groups that we just got a contact from one of the scout leaders, and then a few scout groups decided that hey, we are interested in joining. So we just did it from then. I still remember that the day of the race, all the bakery items came to our house. like like we had no idea how to organize logistics. So everything just came to our house first, and then we just like get a lorry to deliver things. Like it was just at the back of an envelope, and but it started from there. I mean, luckily the first year we didn't have that many runners.
Have
Otherwise,
you ever organized any big event before, or was this was your first time?
this was our first time, but I think that actually sometimes things do cross over. I when I was a lawyer, I was in corporate finance, so I was doing listings and mergers and acquisitions, which you'd think that is nothing to do with trail running, but actually a lot of the things we do, I mean, it's about like packaging, repackaging, putting something together with a prospectus, and then listing a company, and you have to deal with like people whose expertise is in different areas, and then eventually something get done and there's a finished product. I always think that like that's in a way it's a bit like organizing a trail event. Like you basically tap into different people's skills, and you try and put something together, and then everything has to happen on a certain day, the way that like a company has to be listed on a certain day. Right. Yeah,
Sure.
so yeah, I try to I try to tell myself that yes, it's not like all my skills from my previous profession is wasted in event organization.
But eventually, your profession changed, and you moved into sort of the trail running world full time. So tell me about that transition, and I think that was around the time that you started to get involved with ITRA as an organization.
Yeah, you're right. So it all came quite naturally. Again, nothing was planned. So Hong Kong 100, the event we organized, just basically grew legs, and I think the event became ever so popular. It just in about 3 years, like we had the quota, and we even had to start doing a ballot to get runners in. Yeah, by lottery, because we haven't got enough places. So, and we just find that we love doing our own running. We have a full-time job, but we also have this passion project that we would never give up. And so something has to give. So we decided that okay, I'll take a step back from law. In fact, the first time the first step was I changed from being a corporate finance lawyer to a professional support lawyer. But even that, like Hong Kong 100 just tend to take up the whole of your free time when you're not running and seeing friends and family. Yeah, so yeah, I then worked on Hong Kong 100 full time, and as you say, then it was ITRA, which was set up in 2013. So I became the first treasurer and member of the steering committee and the executive board in 2015. So yeah, it was, you're right, it all happened around the same time. And because then I didn't I have to go and work in a full-time job, I have more time to help with the development of trail running really through ITRA.
Okay. And maybe to move the focus a little bit to ITRA. Most trail runners know what ITRA is, but can you tell us a little bit more about what it does? What its role is in the sport?
Yeah, so as I said, ITRA, it's only born in 2013, and it's properly set up and with the first election in 2015. So it's a very young association compared to a lot of other sports. But then having said that, trail running is a very young sport in many places. And it was set up really because to fill a vacuum then there was just no trail running association when trail running was growing so fast. So it was established then with a strong ethical charter. So there are these trail running values that the founders, so to speak, believe that we should uphold and keep, even though the trail running as a sport is growing so quickly. And we should have an association where you can bring all the runners and organizers together to give everybody a voice. It's a very democratic association, so everybody is elected to sit in the steering committee and on the board, and to promote and develop trail running, really. So that is the main mission of the association.
It's interesting that you mentioned it's democratic. How do runners get involved, or anyone who's sort of in the community? How do they get involved in those types of processes if they wanted to play a more active role in the organization?
Yeah, very good question, Jeff. So our term finishes this year, actually. So and the election for the national representatives has well, the election itself has not started, but anybody that wants to put in their name to if anybody has an interest to be a national representative, they should do it now, and I would encourage everyone to do it. If you have an interest in the development of trail running, and if you have the time to give to the association. So basically, a step back, the trail ITRA, its members are really individual runners and organizers from everywhere around the world, and to represent our members, we have national representatives. So for each country or territory, there will be a national representative for runners from that country or territory, and a national representative for organizer members from that country or territory. So the elections will take place at the end of this month to early April. And if anybody wants to really give a voice to their runners, their organizer members, please do so. I mean, the information on how to put in your candidacy, it's all on ITRA's website. So
Oh, that's great.
have a look at that. Yeah. And then after that, we will have the election for the steering committee. Now we are targeting July. So once we've done the national representatives, then the national representatives will elect the steering committee members. And again, please join and be part of the management, really, of the association.
Yeah, no, we'll spread the word about that, and it's great to have an organization that's really sort of about the members and elected. It's not too many of those left. So, how many member organizations, national organizations, are there? And in terms of the membership size of runners?
Yeah, so we have about 5,000 organizer members and to 220,000 individual members, and with all the members, we also have a lot of members who are not fee-paying members as well, which doesn't have as many benefits as the paying members, but and so on top we have those, and we also have 2.5 million runners actually ranked by ITRA. So we have quite a lot of connection with the community. and we are seeing actually an increase in numbers in terms of both runners and members of ITRA.
Yeah, I mean, surely the membership in the organization would have grown as the sport has really seen the tremendous growth over the last decade, and must have presented a lot of challenges and opportunities for ITRA. What does the organization tend to do in terms of sort of the actual sort of guts of the operation? What does ITRA try to actually deliver for runners and for the community and for race organizers?
Yeah, so Jeff, as you say, I mean, looking back, because of the growth of trail running, ITRA has been growing very fast as well. COVID was actually put a lot of things on hold. I sometimes see myself as the pandemic president because like I came in 2021, and it was quite challenging for ITRA then. And but having said that, because as I mentioned, it is a democratic association, so the steering committee, us on the board, can really steer it the way that we want it to go. So, for example, now what we're doing is we just launched something called the National League, which it's really our this board's effort to try and promote local races and try and encourage runners to go and run locally. It's the National League, the events in the National League. It's very inclusive. It's basically all organizer members' events. They can be part of the National League, and if you do events in the National League, it can be any distance, the long ones or the short ones. And we think that environmentally, this is a lot more sound than traveling miles and flying around to do events. So that's something that we are doing, and this is the first year we are launching this, and it will be interesting to see how the numbers and the figures stack up at the end of the year. Right now, we see as 50 odd countries already qualified for the league, and we are expecting about 75 at the end of the year. That's something that we're doing right now. Another thing we did recently at the middle of last year, I think, is the Green Charter. Again, it's to do with the hot topic right now is how do we reduce our environmental impact. So it's on our website, and we encourage our members to sign up to this Green Charter: reduce waste, leave no trace, lower carbon footprint, all those worthy things that we, as the trail running community, all of us must think about, I think. And other things we do are we did a survey last year. I don't know whether, Jeff, you saw it. It was the infographics survey results on runners' habits. We plan to do more of these. So just to give our members more up-to-date information about the evolution, the development of trail running, what like your fellow trail runners are doing, that sort of thing. And of course, we've got you to be our host for a podcast. We hope to continue with this and do more podcasts on topical subjects for our members. And finally, we launched the first combined World Mountain and Trail Running Championship last year. And I'm sure you know about it, Jeff, being a member of the Canadian team. And the next one will be in June in Innsbruck. Our plate is quite full, actually.
No, and actually, that's one of the things that I wanted to discuss with you, because the World Championships, I thought they did a fantastic job in Chiang Mai, Thailand in November. Both ITRA and the local organizing committee And it was just it was seamless to have all of the mountain running and trail running events combined. So many countries participating. As you said, the World Championships will be in Innsbruck, Austria, coming up quite soon. Actually, I think it's in June of this year. What do you see about in the future of the international side of trail running?
I think as with the elites, the World Mountain and Trail Running Championship, I think will be basically the reference and the most competitive race. Elites would want to join. I think that is something that like all eyes will be on, and it will give a lot of excitement to the whole community. It's wonderful to see your representatives like competing, and I think just seeing how Chiang Mai did it and how many people were following it, does make one realize that yes, I mean this is something that really excites the runners from all countries who are represented. And in terms of not the elite level, our mere mortals like me, I think trail running will just keep growing. And there was a survey did in the past before COVID that is looking at a 15% growth each year. Female running will I think be even more and more popular. We see that in our own event as well, especially with the shorter distance. It was really impressive to see the growth in the number of runners who are female. But I think in terms of the global development, more and more countries, that's from our statistics as well, are jumping on this trail running bandwagon. And I think it's also a sport where runners from around the world can connect through the running. I don't think that all sports do that, but I think just running it has this ability somehow to connect communities.
Yeah. I just looking at my experience at the World Championships. A few things. One, very recently, trail running has been moved in at the national level under the governance of Athletics Canada in Canada. So that's the main body for athletics, so track and field. And I think that it has increased the profile of that sport by sort of raising it to that organizing body nationally. And then it was amazing at the event itself. I'm a Canadian based in Asia, but seeing so many familiar faces from other Asian countries, from European countries, other athletes that I've raced against or met at other competitions. It's amazing, given the size of the sport now, just how many personal connections you're able to make with so many athletes, and it's easy to sort of lose sight of that. So it's amazing, these types of events that bring everyone together and put them on the same stage. So
Yeah,
I think it's remarkable.
yeah, and I love the fact that after the event, I remember at the post race party, people were exchanging their teas and their national teas. It's just lovely. It's just great to see everybody, yeah, relax, and also like the goodwill and yeah, the camaraderie that's just shown. And yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic. And of course, like in like for you guys, you do see a lot of familiar faces, and Hong Kong is very special in that way because like not only did we have a Hong Kong team, there are like you representing Canada, and many of our other friends are representing their respective countries. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's Hong Kong is a special place for the sport as well. Now, ITRA sits on a massive amount of data. You can go onto your ITRA page and look at your runner profile, see all the races that you've done. And actually, there's a lot of mystery to how that score sort of works. So my understanding is at the ITRA headquarters in Chamonix, there's a blindfolded monkey in the basement who throws darts at a dartboard, and whatever number that hits, that's your ITRA score for a race. Am I getting that correctly? Or tell me how the ITRA score is actually generated.
That's exactly how it's
That's
done.
how it works.
No, no, no. We have an algorithm that it's an ITRA algorithm, and it looks at a race's distance and elevation, and then it works out based on that distance and that elevation and the time you finish that with a base reference, how fast you went, and then it gives you a score. Then with your best scores over the last 3 years, the best 5, then it gives you an average score, and it's actually done. I mean, we have a very small team in ITRA, considering like how much data and things that has to be done by ITRA in terms of runners' results. But we try to do this quite all computerized and electronically. So there isn't like somebody like just doing it and just like using subjective views of how the performance of runners are. And I think there is some perception that might be how it's done, but it really is not. Like, we've heard comments about events in Europe get higher score than like an event that is not known to ITRA, and that really is not the case.
Well, but does the algorithm take into account the scores of the performance index scores of other participants in the field and their relative finishing position as well?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding. No, it doesn't like look into, it's purely your performance.
Okay,
It
interesting.
doesn't, it doesn't look at like, how many Killian Jornades turn up in the race.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I
Eh,
have to say that one thing is that the what we call the score does decay over the years. So like your more current results, there is a higher value put to that than one that you did like 3 years ago. And also like with the ITRA algorithm, it also puts more value in somebody that has done consistent good results, more so
mm,
than somebody who might have a spike of
like
like
a
one or
one
two
off.
good races. Yeah, it looks more of your average performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the decay thing was an issue for me in Hong Kong during the COVID times. There wasn't any live racing for almost 2 years, and fortunately, there were some virtual events that were allowed to happen. But obviously, because all the runners are running in different times of day, and sometimes you have longer competition windows, not really fair to put a single score on them because each person's sort of finishing time might be a little bit different, taking into account to that. So, but with racing getting back to normal, hopefully people are able to sort of get their scores back to normal.
Yeah, totally. That was something that it was a decision made by the whole committee.
Hmm.
on whether virtuals should have a score, and as you say, for those reasons, we ended up deciding that, like, for virtuals, we don't give an individual score. But as you say, I mean, hopefully we put the worst behind us now, and everybody can just go and do their favorite races.
For sure. So we've talked already about the growth of trail running in terms of the number of participants, number of races, sponsorships. We've seen companies come into the sport with investment. ITRA's a nonprofit. What sort of challenges or opportunities does that present in terms of being sort of a nonprofit in the space?
Yes, so ITRA is non-profit. We are all doing this for free. It's independent. It is neutral. So I think we see ourselves as an association by runners for runners, by organisers for organisers. And in terms of sponsorships, I think there has been a debate or a worry that having sponsors will make us not neutral and not independent. I mean, I have to say that so far I have not seen any of that, and I don't think that it will. We will. It will take a certain amount of cynicism to think that, like, that will take place, and if that takes place, we will definitely for sure just put a stop to it. But at the moment, I think as a non-profit, our income sources rely currently on members' subscriptions. And also we have some revenue from insurance packages, and also from a sponsor. But going forward, I think we are more open to different ways to raise revenue, because I think for the association to be healthy, and to be able to do what it needs to do, and I mean, I could just name a thousand things that ITRA should do and can do, and would be great services and tools for runners. We need the funding. So I think that we have to look at the ways to do it. And the other thing about ITRA is that it's not set up like a corporate. So the association is built first, and then we look for skills. It's not like something like a startup where you've got this skill and this is your core business, and then you build upon it. So I think one of the things ITRA still need to do is to be able to tap into know-how and expertise of our members, which hopefully, again, like with new election, we can do. Like, I'm sure that there are a lot of runners out there that are passionate about the sport and also want to and be prepared to give some of their time to ITRA and help ITRA in all the aspects that it needs expertise, be it like on management, on the business side, on the technology side. We need people.
I think that's a good answer. Now, you are ITRA's first female president. We did our last episode on women in trail running. And what do you think your role can be in terms of leading ITRA, in terms of helping female participation and gender equality in the sport?
Yeah, I think I often don't see myself like as just like a female first. So it was only like after I was elected, and then some runners came up to me, and then they were like so happy about it, and say that, wow, we're just so happy to have a female president. That's probably what got me to think about it more. And as you say, in terms of, and I feel okay, honored, and like to receive that sort of support. But I also feel a sense of responsibility as well, that some runners would see you as probably should be delivering something like more for them. And in terms of the inequality, I think we have to just keep at it. We just have to keep thinking about the aspects, like Stephanie and Case and Sophie Grant in the last episode pointed out a lot of the inequalities, and there are the biases. And I think that a lot of it might not actually be something that we can change in a day, but at least we have started the conversation, and there are, like what they pointed out, a lot of things that organizers can do, and that's a first step. And for me, as the ITRA president, I mean, I hope to be able to encourage more members to come and be part of the management team of ITRA, who are female, for sure. And I also hope that there will be ways for us to have a more balanced number of members who are male and female. At the moment, it's still very unbalanced. We have a lot more male members than female. Again, okay. I think we need to think of the reasons why we have more male members, and we need to think about what tools we can provide, or what are the things that may be more of interest to female runners that we can do. I think having podcasts like the one we had last time and the last episode helped, but there should be more, especially on the technology side. I think we can maybe help to have more female relevant information that we can share with female runners, hopefully. But I mean, I do recognize that there is an issue, and hopefully by having more females running ITRA, we can level that up a bit more.
Yeah. And I mean, as a very experienced race director, any tips for race organizers or race directors in terms of things that they can do to help make the sport more inclusive?
Yeah, I think coverage. For me, I think more coverage of the female side of the race will be good. For us in Hong Kong 100, it's not favoritism, but I always try to get the best bits to our female runners, our elites, like make sure that they stand in the same in the start line with the male, even though, okay, in terms of times, we might have a lot more elite men than females, but I think we need to give the female runners a lot more coverage before and during and after the event. Our race definitely tries to do that, and in fact, like looking at the traction of the coverage, we noticed that, for example, in our race this year, at least on Facebook and Twitter, a lot more runners were following our female champion. That's partly because like she's local, but I think yes, yeah, and I think that there have been like discussions about whether we should give 50% of our slots, or even like a little bit lower, like a certain like carved out number of quota for female runners. That is something that is worth thinking, and we have really back and forth on this a lot of times, and this is something that we do want to think about it more seriously.
Mm,
But I think it's more, to me, I think it's more giving the female runners more opportunities to run in a way that they prefer. For example, like we see that in the last 2 years, because we cannot do a physical event with the virtual, there was a lot more interest in the female runners uptake. Uh, I think that is something that we should think about. Like, is there something specific about virtuals that female runners like? Is it the social element of it? Is it, the way that you can just have more flexibility in doing sections by sections? But I think these are all things that we should think about it, and see what we can do to really just try and understand more about what are the needs and what really make female runners tick.
yeah, and I think general awareness that there is an issue, and that it can take time to fix and make progress on, but it won't fix itself on its own. So I think, that type of experimentation and considering about, which measures individual races can choose to take to help with the problem, it will inevitably start moving things in the right direction. And we have seen some race directors, especially things like race deferrals. But even, just something as simple as coverage, and in terms of how sort of we talk about results on social media, I think it's really important to be inclusive.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that having a group of female runners or organizers to sit around the table and to bounce off ideas would be a good start, because I think often we follow the same template, but like some fresh ideas, and just seeing things like from a more female angle, looking at trail running, would be helpful.
yeah. So, just looking ahead again, what do you want to see sort of accomplished at ITRA in the next sort of maybe 3 to 5 years? What would be success for you in terms of that period within the organization?
Oh, there's so much that I want to do then and should do. I think, as you say, Jeff, you see that with ITRA, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of information, but I think that there's still so much more that we can do in terms of the technology side, like for any member, like to get onto the ITRA website and find out a lot more about it, about himself, about herself, her friends, and to have a bit more like, to have a lot more tools for runners. I think that will be great. Um, it, I also would love to see more and more countries participating in the World Championship. I think it will be interesting with Innsbruck. Um, we are already seeing more newcomers, and it will be very exciting. So I hope that in the next 3 to 5 years, it will become like a truly world championship where, that's just on the calendar of all trail runners. Like whether you're a spectator or you are the elite, you will be training for that event. Um, uh, Again, I hope that also, in a way, as you say, I mean, a lot of people know ITRA exists, but don't actually know what ITRA does. One of the things that it will be great is if whenever we talk about ITRA, everybody knows, oh, that's what ITRA does, or that's where I go to, like for information on trail running. I mean, that would be amazing, if we can really build a community with all the know-how and resources so that we can really serve trail runners, whether you are a complete beginner or a top elite. Yeah, I mean that's my hope. I don't think that it's beyond our dreams to achieve that.
No, well, I think you have a very strong team that you're working with at ITRA, and a huge community that wants to see the sport continue to grow. So, thanks for that. And we're nearing the end of our time. I'd just like to thank everyone who helped bring this episode, this podcast to life, including our guest today, Janet, and our amazing producer and editor, Sam Hill at Hill Adventures. You can find the ITRA Trail Talks episodes on the ITRA YouTube channel and on Spotify. And for more information on the International Trail Running Association, you can visit itra.run. To become an ITRA member and gain access to all their services, for only €8 a year, you can become a member and get access to an ITRA score, rankings, statistics, and ability to purchase an international trail runner insurance policy for only €49 a year. That's it for me. Happy trails, everyone, and see you next time.